She is a seasoned coach, mentor, speaker, and podcaster who will inspire you to take action and has a strong passion for helping others around the world to understand their potential is limitless. I'm delighted to welcome and have a conversation with Tima Elhajj on Small Talk. I'm your host, Javed Khan. Tima Elhajj, welcome to Small Talk.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be on the show. Thank you for inviting me to come along.
I too am excited, my friend. You're connecting with us on the show from, are you in Melbourne, Australia?
Melbourne, Australia, yes.
Melbourne, Australia, loving that part of the country and the world. And I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a very busy individual to come on Small Talk. And we wanted to start the conversation today, Tima, around you're really helping people around the world, helping them with limitless potential is what you're doing. And for those folks who aren't even aware of what Tima does, go online, specifically to LinkedIn, and she's just crushing it with a variety of various videos, but the topics are really, really engaging and interesting. And Tim, I wanted you to share with us this whole thing about, helping people with their potential and limitless potential. It's very interesting. Share that with us today.
So my bigger mission in life is to help as many people as I can around the world to believe that their potential is truly limitless. And what that actually means is we can be whoever we want to be and construct that within ourselves. And I genuinely believe that in my heart that this is applicable to anybody in this world. So we talk about entrepreneurship and, a lot of people say that, you have to be a born entrepreneur. I disagree. I feel that they are skills that we can learn and there are tools that we can apply in our own life. And this is where the construction of this person that you want to be and constructing this within yourselves really, really meets the definition of limitless potential. Because if you see everything as a skill, your potential is limitless because you can learn those skills and apply them within your own life.
And what kind of from the conversations you're having with people around the world, what are sort of the consistencies in terms of what you're hearing from people? What are there certain things, and what are those things that are setting people back from their potential? Are you finding a common theme around people holding back, or is there a lot of, maybe lack of confidence or something of that nature? Share with us there.
Well, there's a couple of layers there. So if I'm dealing with individuals when it comes to coaching, 100% fear is always the main block. But the fear can be a range of other layers, which, we refer to limiting beliefs. And also what happens these days, because social media is such a big part of the way we communicate, there's a huge comparison element to it. And we all know that a lot of what we see isn't real, but we still torture ourselves and somehow convince ourselves that somebody else's life is perfect, or somebody else's approach to things is perfect. And that really stops people from really wanting to achieve whatever they want to achieve, because I just don't believe it's possible. But the crazy thing is they believe it's possible for somebody else.
And when you say people have this fear, what kind of fear do people have that is holding them back from their potential?
So there's fear of failure and fear of not being good enough, fear of not having the ability or the skills or even the qualifications to do whatever they want to do. And they're all just really the things that we say to ourselves to make it okay to be okay with that decision. And in the end, we live in such an incredible time. We really do, especially with the technology that we have access to. Anybody can be anything. As long as we believe in whatever we are doing and we have a greater purpose, anything is possible. So fear is the biggest roadblock for people. And it's interesting that there are a lot of people out there that genuinely believe in their own excuses that they are giving themselves. But what people don't understand is living in that fear takes so much more energy than not living in that fear, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. And with that, I wanted to just, so if we backtrack again, the folks who are watching the show, please go and search out Tima. She's got amazing content that she's been putting out, a variety of different videos, and we certainly always share our guest contact information. So certainly if you're watching this through the video show, you'll be able to see the contact. If you're listening to this through our podcast show, we'll certainly have Tima's information in the session description section of our podcast. Now, before we went to film here, you were mentioning you were a financial services professional, a financial advisor. What was that sort of that cut that had you go from doing as a financial advisor to what you're doing today? What was that, I would say that stop block for you?
Well, it was an accumulation of defining moments. It wasn't just one moment where I woke up and I said, that's it, I'm going to change my life. They were an accumulation of events and an accumulation of feelings over a period of time. Now, for the last 2 to 3 years of my financial planning career, I just did not feel connected to what I did. But again, the fear kicked in. I convinced myself that I needed to continue because that's what I knew. That was my qualification. I had a great reputation in the industry. And at the same time, I convinced myself that my clients would be devastated if I moved on from the industry. So it was what I knew and it was what I was comfortable with. So I convinced myself to continue to do that. But being a parent, so I have an 8-year-old girl who looks up to me, and knowing that my actions speak louder than words, and knowing that if I'm living in a state of misery, because that's really how I felt. I didn't feel excited waking up in the morning. I didn't feel like that I was really making an impact on the world. And those are the values that are really important to me. But looking at this little girl that is looking up to me, knowing that I'm teaching her without really teaching her these things through my actions, it really terrified me as a parent, because I want the best for her and I want her to be able to have that courage to do whatever it is that she wants to do. So the inspiration and the courage really came from that, because I was terrified that I was teaching my daughter the wrong things in life and the wrong lessons. So I made that clear-cut decision, because I also said to myself, well, if I'm not going to do it now, then when am I going to do it? In 10 years' time? I don't want to wait that long. So I finally made the decision to let go of my financial planning career, but it doesn't mean that I'm any less. If anything, it just means that I have the courage to live the purpose that I've created for myself. And I know that the impact I'm having and the impact that I will continue to have, and that feeling I honestly feel goosebumps even just saying that out loud, knowing that I have that impact and that I'm helping people change their lives. Nothing can compare to that, other than being a mother, of course. So
amazing story here, folks, and a great conversation with you, Tima. Now, we always ask our guests a question, and I didn't mention this to you before, but I'm going to ask you this here. If you had an opportunity to have a conversation, a small talk conversation with anyone, living or past, who would that be for you?
Okay, I love this question. Who would it be? That's a really, really tough question, Javed. I wish I had thought about this before.
Right. So you think about it, and while you're thinking, I'm going to remind folks, as you're watching this show, please go and reach out to Tima or look at her videos, go online, her contact information we're providing, not only in the video portion of the show, but we will provide it in the podcast version of the show. She's an amazing individual, amazing stories, and it just shares amazing content and insights around helping people, as she's mentioned today, who have some level of fear, getting them away from that and really dealing with the potential that they have. And in all cases, according to Tima, it's limitless. Everyone's got some sort of limitless potential. So with that said, my friend, do you have that answer for me? Anyone living or past, who would you like to have that small talk conversation with?
Well, when you were talking, I was thinking I would love to have a conversation with Oprah. Like, she's made a big impact on my own life. And
interesting. Now, why Oprah? That's a very interesting answer.
Why Oprah? Because she, from a very young age, I would watch her shows, and she was teaching me things that I didn't realize that I was being taught, if that makes sense. So even at the time when she started her journey, I didn't even think she realized the impact that she was having on people's lives. And so growing up watching her, but also seeing how she's transformed herself as a human, but the impact that she's had on the world, and she's made conversations okay, like to talk about, mental health, and talk about spirituality, and to talk about, having a growth mindset and really changing yourself as a human. So I would love to have a conversation with her under those beautiful trees that she has in her garden at her home. So I definitely visualize myself interviewing her one day. So
Oprah, if you're watching the show, please reach out to Tima. Tima, thank you so much, Elhajj, for being on Small Talk. It was such a delight to have you on the show, and a delight as always to have this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Javid. And I love your show, and I love your passion and your energy and everything that you're trying to achieve. So thank you for having me on.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you to Tima Elhajj for joining me on Small Talk. You can also listen to the show as part of our podcast series. Now it's your turn. Please comment, subscribe, and share. If you've got a topic you'd like to discuss on the show, please give me a call or send me an email. We'll talk with you next time.